Attending this session in Cloud Days 2022. This session is Advanced Collaboration for the Organized and Achieving Enterprise. So thanks for taking some time out of your morning with us today. Appreciate it. As we go through our presentation today, you're going to have a chance to respond to a couple of polls that we put out for some questions to get some information from our participants. And you have two different ways you can interact with our polling mechanism. One is you can just use texting. I was doing this earlier. It's very easy to use. Just text into 22333, enter Dean Dorton as the message, and then send that away. And then as the poll questions come up, you can submit your answers with the A, B, C, D, whatever the options are for the choices to pick from, or you can go right to the internet and connect to that right on the website and do the same thing. Very good. So for today, we're going to talk about really we have kind of two areas of our presentation. One is a collaboration strategy piece where we're talking about how can what are some techniques we can use to really look at the collaboration experience within your organization and really start to maximize what that looks like. That's kind of part one. That's kind of the theory. That's the business process side. That's the discussion side of collaboration and collaboration strategy. And then part two of this presentation, we'll look at some scenarios inside Microsoft 365 where I'll take you through with a fictitious company, a couple of fictitious scenarios or common scenarios that really will let you see how you can engage with the platform to really maximize the collaboration that you can get from the platform. And then the third item there is a customer immersion experience. I'll talk a little bit more about what that is, but that's something we want to offer up to anyone who's participating in this session to get you a little bit deeper involved into the Microsoft 365 platform and exposure to how Dean Dorton does business. As we go through this, you should be able to put questions into the webinar meeting. Please do that. We'll be keeping an eye on those, and we'll address those as we go through the presentation. So first question that we have is, how does your organization plan for collaboration? So interesting to get your perspective on what goes on within your organization when you think about collaboration and how you're planning for that. Kind of throw out some responses there for me. I would appreciate it. We have a team that manages that so far. It's great. Seen some other responses that come in here. Very good. So with that, they haven't thought about it too much. A third of the audience there, we haven't thought about it.
I don't know.
Very good. Thanks for hopping on that poll. We'll have a couple other polls as we go through here, but we have about 2/3 have a team that works on some of this collaboration strategy, and then we have a third that really haven't thought too much about it. So we'll start to dive into that and look at that. This is the piece, our collaboration strategy. So as Dean Dorton starts to work with an organization to understand how can you leverage some technology to help with your collaboration and your strategies, we have developed this pattern that we use to walk an organization through that exercise. We really, when we start to look at this, and the reason this became important for us, we put a couple of statistics on this slide to help exemplify kind of what we're talking about there. So 96% of executives have cited lack of collaboration or poor collaboration as a key cause of some of the workplace failures that they've had. And we also noted that 60% of organizations, they don't understand some of the internal communication processes that are going on within their organizations, creating a disconnected culture, disconnected workers, employees, all bad things. And so as we looked at that, we started to work on this process of coming up with a collaboration strategy to help an organization figure out where they want to target effort to improve those and improve the collaboration and the sharing of information and business process within their organization. So top left there, roadmap, and we'll dig in a couple of these as we go through here today. But the first area is roadmap. That's really understanding what's needed. So what are you trying to achieve as an organization? That's the first part. Second part we look at is an envisioning cycle. And this envisioning cycle, this is another word that you'll hear me use, is a customer or client immersion experience. This is a hands-on experience with some technology. Governance, I'm sure you've heard governance if you're in the technology world, or you've heard that term governance. And within this context, we're talking about how can we manage this, put some guardrails up, and give people a highway to go down that they're safe on. That's really what we're looking at there, and also understanding the ownership piece. Migration, if you sat in on our board discussion to kick off Cloud-Based 2022, you heard our team talking about migration. So depending on your organization and what you're trying to achieve, there may or may not be migration components. Those are all things that need to be factored into our collaboration strategy and how we would like to move forward. And then, of course, training. And we'll talk a bit about that as we go through. But underlying all this is change management and adoption support, which, as if you've tried to implement changes within your organization, you understand that that can be a critical element with trying to adopt any kind of changes, is really orchestrating that and managing that within your organization. So let's take another look, or a deeper look at a couple of these areas. Our collaboration roadmap. So I mentioned this is where we're trying to understand what are the things that are most important for your organization related to collaboration. We always try to do that with Dean Dorton, and the group I work with in Dean Dorton is technology focused, but we are business first, meaning that we want to understand what are the problems within your business that you're trying to solve, trying to overcome before we bring the technology in. And that's really what this piece starts to build on. Number one, we start to build out the use cases for your collaboration scenarios. So use case, think of that as it's a requirement. It's a user story. There's a lot of different names for it, but we're expressing a need. So there's a need, there's a pain point. That's one of our use cases. We typically express that as the person who's involved in it, or the business process that's involved, and then what we're trying to achieve with that particular use case to understand what needs to be satisfied. Paired up with that is this concept of success criteria. All right, so for success criteria for these use cases, we need to understand, if we meet this use case, what does success look like for you? And is that something that we can measure? So is it a sales metric? Is it a reduction in minutes spent doing a particular task? Is that the KPI? You know, what does that success look like if we meet that use case? That's really important for us to understand that, to be able to measure how we're doing against that use case, to understand if we've successfully met it. Related also to that, this concept of priority. So when we meet with organizations, depending on the size of the organization and the number of teams involved, there can be a lot of use cases that are related to collaboration. And what's important for us to understand is which ones are the most important ones. So that's where we really start to drive into the priority piece. Because inevitably, you're going to want to tackle the ones that are most important, that drive the most business value. Try to link into those first to meet to satisfy those needs first. Service alignment. So part of this also, as we start to craft these use cases, we start to understand the needs that you have, and then we can start to align that to some of the technology options that we have to satisfy those needs. Interesting statistic here at the bottom of this particular slide is related to email traffic. So email, everyone uses email to some degree, I believe. But some of the statistics we were able to uncover around this were 65% use email still as their primary means of communication. So that's one piece of information. This other data point is a little bit alarming, or a little bit concerning, in that 79% of professional service emails remain unopened. So I'm spending 60% of my effort on email, but a lot of that stuff many times isn't being opened. That may or may not hold exactly true for your organization, but just because we're sending lots of emails doesn't mean that while all those emails are being read and received and actioned appropriately. But anyway, so our collaboration roadmap, that really starts to build out the plan for how we're going to try to collaborate together. This feeds into our envisioning workshop. So I mentioned the concept of understanding what these business problems are, and then we start to align the technology. This envisioning workshop is really the alignment of your business outcomes, your business objectives, and aligning that into the technology. The envisioning workshop is a hands-on experience where we bring you into a lab environment. It's basically a disposable Microsoft environment that we can do any exercises. We have access to all the services that are available in Microsoft's 365 cloud platform. And we can really start to drill into all of the different areas of the platform that can help with addressing some of the business problems that you've identified for related to collaboration. And what's nice about this is we can, by having the roadmap ahead of time, we can target that experience so that we're addressing and showing you the most important scenarios and use cases and how they can be modeled inside the platform. That's really our goal with this exercise, to give you hands-on experience and to see how this technology can really meet the needs and address the pains that you've identified. A couple other items. So as we look at adoption and governance, a couple areas within here, we talked a little bit about migration. So if you have content to migrate, of course, we have to plan that out, understand what that looks like. One of the things that we really try to look at as we do our migrations also is understanding how that content is structured. Because many times when we're moving that content, it may have amassed over many years into a bunch of different containers, or it may not be organized in the way that's best suited for how your business runs today and how you want to work with that data. As an example, several organizations that we've worked with, they have file shares. So they have on-premise file shares, and they have put information into that over years and years. And some of that information it doesn't need to be readily accessible. It's kind of more archived information. They're not working with it on a day-to-day basis. And so understanding how that content lives today, especially when you're talking about file-based content, is how do we want to structure that, organize it so that it can be best used by the organization moving forward to streamline your communications or your collaboration experience. The training plan and communication plan. So these things are really tightly related. So when we talk about training within the context of collaboration, there's really two pieces to this. There is a technology training piece, and then there tends to be a business process training piece also. Or, business process training piece also. The technology piece in the Microsoft 365 world, the fundamental things that you do within the platform are very teachable, and people pick those up quickly. It's the part that is sometimes missed in training plans is how do we apply that particular technology, this particular sales process, or this particular inventory process. How do we take these business processes inside of our organization, and how do we train our staff then to leverage this technology within that process? So that becomes a part of the change management exercise also, and that's why this communication planning becomes so important. We need to make sure that our employees and staff understand that the expectations that we have of them for using technology and for specifically using that technology within the context of certain business processes is very important. And the messaging from that is very important also. So the owners of that messaging is very important. Leadership within a business unit, if the leadership of a business unit is communicating these process changes, that carries more weight than a lower level kind of staff person trying to communicate those changes out. It shows real executive buy-in and real sponsorship for the plan and where we're trying to go. And it really helps to make that whole transition process more successful for us. Excuse me. From a governance perspective, there are a couple pieces I'll just touch on generally. One, governance is kind of like the balance, the scales, right? You don't want to over control, but you want enough control so that you can understand and manage these environments that we have. Especially with the Microsoft platform, you can give quite a bit of empowerment to users, and what we'd like to do is put up the appropriate guardrails to keep people in the lanes that we want them in. That's really all we're trying to do. We don't want to prevent creativity. We don't want to stifle growth and usage of the platform, but at the same time, we want to put up some reasonable guardrails to keep them in the lanes of the highway that we want them on, if that makes sense. Another piece of governance ties into ownership of pieces. So with different ways, different pieces of information that we store and gather and share with individuals, sometimes it's important to have ownership of that content. So think of if you've ever been in a net platform, having ownership for the different business units who are putting content onto the internet is paramount, because if you don't have that, then that content becomes stale. People don't go back to the internet to look at this content that's there because no one's keeping it updated and fresh. It's not been maybe set up as the true collaboration channel or the communications channel is one of the things that we see. So understanding that, assigning ownership to those different areas are very important as we look at these collaboration patterns and how we want to work with our business processes inside this environment. So with that, that's a big part of the collaboration roadmap and the collaboration planning piece that I wanted to talk about. For our organization, or for your organization, I put some tools up here. These are Microsoft centric, of course, and I'd like for you to kind of let me know within your organization, which tools are you using today for collaboration? So SharePoint's A, Microsoft Teams is B, Power Automate, something else, or email. So a lot of email so far, 100% email so far. So not surprising based on our statistics from before, I suppose. Okay, very good. With that, so all those tools can be used for different pieces of collaboration. So thanks for your input there on tools. Appreciate that. So the next thing we're going to step into, so we're going to transition out of the theoretical exercise that we were talking about earlier, which was really, that's the pattern and how Dean Dorton approaches collaboration strategy within an organization to move that forward and make things better. And what we're going to look at now is we're going to look at some specific things within the Microsoft 365 platform. And we're going to talk about these things within the context of, I call it winning the business. So this is a sales process that we're going to look at. And we're going to be doing this within the context of a demonstration environment. You'll see, if you've done anything with Microsoft, you've heard of Contoso. This is a Contoso platform. So you'll see that name out there, but this is a demonstration environment. And we're going to act like we are a sales organization, and we're going to use the tools to manage a sales process, okay? So as we look at this sales process, the things that we have, so we're a professional services firm, so our business is selling our services in this example. And to do that, a lot of times we engage with our clients, our customers, and we need to collect information from them. So we need to keep track of our information about that client and the notes and the information. And we have a large sales team, so it's possible that from time to time, different salespeople will work with the same client. So we want to have all that information in one spot. As we build out that information and flesh out these clients that we're trying to do business with, we inevitably get to a point where we're pretty sure we're going to move forward with some work or where we validated that this is a real opportunity with this client. So the next thing we want to do is we want to kind of log that particular project or that opportunity for that client so that we can start to track it more closely and understand the actions that need to happen to move that opportunity forward so that we can win that business. As part of that exercise, we're going to create some documents. We have to create proposals, we have to create statements of work, we have to create estimates. So all these documents support that process of moving from opportunity to sale. We're going to use the platform to help manage that and collaborate on those with our different users on the sales team. And then we'll talk a little bit about celebrating the win. That's just a way to really advertise something. So we're trying to communicate out that we've won some business. So we'll show you some easy ways to do that within the platform also. So as we look at this today, we're going to be looking at two different users. I have my sales admin account, and then we're also going to be looking at, we're going to be using Megan Bowen. Megan Bowen is one of our salespeople. We'll use that persona. And as you look, and as we're looking through these different things, you'll see little pictures. This is our picture of Megan in the top right corner. So if you see this on our browser, we're talking in terms of Megan, who's really one of our sales and marketing staff. And then my sales admin role is the JC logo here. So the first thing that's happening is that Megan's going to go out on a sales call, and Megan is, or maybe it's virtual, maybe she's in place, maybe it's virtual, but she needs to start to log some of the notes about the information she collected from this client. And the easiest way we're going to do that is through a tool called OneNote. And Contoso as an organization has adopted the Teams platform for the majority of its collaboration. So we're going to try to do all these things within the context of Teams. So we're using that as our kind of single jumping off point for all these different places that we need to do to manage our opportunity pipeline in our sales organization. So let me flip back over to Megan. So Megan's in her Teams environment. You can see on the left for Megan, she has a lot of teams that she's involved with, has a lot of responsibilities at Contoso, and she has a lot of teams on the left. One of the things that's most important for her, though, is driving business. So she's pinned this opportunities channel at the very top of Teams to make sure that that's front and center for her so that she knows and can monitor that closely and easily get to it. So we're going to go into our OneNote for our sales, and think of OneNote as really a virtual filing cabinet. It's a big filing cabinet with a bunch of folders in it that you can use to organize all the content that you have for notes and note-taking. So if I click on this, we can see this is my sales and marketing notebook. I have two big sections really of this. I have prospects, which we'll come back and fill out a new prospect form for our note-taking. Then I also have, I can use this to capture procedures. So here's some of the sales procedures of deal registration, financial setup, commissions calculations. So all those kind of things I can keep in OneNote also as a reference for anyone who's in the sales and marketing world at Contoso. So flipping back to prospects, Megan is taking some notes for this particular company, and this company's name is Smithson and Popper. That's the name of the organization, and she's going to put in her notes. Here's the contact information, phone number. It's all the contact information. I'm not going to put all that in here now, but then from here, she can start to do, an executive summary or summary notes within OneNote. This is I can quickly kind of format this content. I can make little check marks, check boxes, highlight content within my OneNote. I can make a checklist in here if I need to. I have a variety of tools to track my content. So here's my to-do list. Do this, follow up on this. These are all kind of the preliminary notes. We're trying to just understand this client. So it could be any number of things. The nice thing about OneNote is that as a user, if I flip over and look at my sales admin now and go into notes, we could both be, I could have two individuals in here working at the same time. So if I have multiple people on, if I have multiple individuals working or taking notes, I can have my own other notes section within here. So I know Megan's over here working. If I want to keep some other notes over here, that's fine. It's very loose. It's very unstructured. It's just a quick and dirty way, easy way to take notes, but it helps me keep all that information organized in a way that I can find it later when I need to. So that's our Smithson and Popper account. These are my notes here. This looks very promising. So that's good news for us. So that's our OneNote. That's an easy way to keep track of all of our notes. So as we've done this, so we talked about our sales process. So we meet with our clients, we figure out kind of what their needs are. Is there a good match for what Contoso does? In this case, it is. It's a very good match for us as an organization and the services we provide. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to start to track this Smithson and Popper opportunity so that we can focus our attention on the deliverables and the activities that we really need to move forward with to support that sales process. And to do that, so I'm going to shift out of OneNote. So as my sales admin, I'm going to go into my opportunities list. So this is a list of the active opportunities that we're working on right now. I can kind of see who's owned or who owns these particular opportunities, expected close date, and the dollar amount associated with those. So I'm going to add a new opportunity into here. I'll click on new, and my company name, this was Smithson and Popper. And you'll note, this is a SharePoint list. So as we go through this example, just know that there's scale available for these types of models that we're talking about. For a smaller company, this kind of model works great. If I was a really large sales organization with hundreds of salespeople, moved and shift over to something more along the lines like a Dynamics 365 sales type solution. But many of the things and the strategies that we're talking about here, they're applicable on both those platforms. So here's my opportunity owner. We're going to make Megan the opportunity owner here. She's the one who has brought this work in. The sales status is in progress. So we're in flight with that now. We're really digging into it, trying to put some things together to move that forward. Now, the sales amount is actually $225,000. We're expecting this to close by end of quarter, is what Megan's told us so far. I'm going to plug that in, and then here I'm going to save this. So as with this, as you can imagine, there are a lot of different things that would need to go in to move this kind of a project forward, to move this forward so that we can progress this deal and really start to work it. And what we're going to look at now is a couple of things that can help with managing that. So we're going to look at two different areas. One, if I wanted to kind of track some specific tasks that I wanted our team to execute on for a specific task, we're going to use a tool called Planner. And we'll go take a look at some of the things that we set up in Planner when opportunities flow into our world. And then we'll also look at some of the supporting documents that we need to create and manage to really, we typically always have these on opportunities. It's an estimate worksheet. So how much time is it going to take? How much effort is it? What's that work breakdown look like? And then also the proposals and contract documents. So we'll look at how we can spawn some of those things up quickly when we start one of these opportunities to really drive into the content. Okay, so I was trying to give that a moment here to see if our tasks will come up. And here are our opportunity tasks. So we're looking over here inside of our Planner environment, and I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so it's easier for us to look at. But Planner is a task management tool that's in Microsoft, and I'm able to tie these things together. So you'll notice my tasks at the top are for Smithson and Popper. I have 4 different tasks for my different area here. So let me maximize this so we get a better picture of it. So expand this tab out. So I have 4 major teams that really work together to deliver on the sales opportunities at Contoso. We have solution sales, solution sales. They kind of spec out the details. So they get into the nitty gritty of the solutions and design what the solution needs to be. We have our marketing team. They're responsible a lot for putting together the proposals and doing some of the finalization of the sales contracts. Sales operations, they are ultimately responsible for kind of giving a thumbs up on any proposals or estimates that go out the door. And then I also have my sales team. So the sales team, they're responsible really for bringing the business in, and then they're responsible for the end of closing the sale out also. So as we see, Smithson and Popper, I have detailed requirements. I have Megan, who is the owner. She's going to be responsible for creating this proposal. And so as a user, what this is doing, when this opportunity came in and we started to work on it, I've already automatically created these tasks so everyone knows the work that they're supposed to be doing. And so for Smithson and Popper, we have 4 things that have been created. 1, get the detailed requirements, build out the proposal. We have to finalize this proposal, and then we need to deliver the proposal to that client as we finish it up. So within Planner, there's a lot of things that are in here. I can see how it's assigned to each one of the teams by looking at it by bucket. If I also want to see how things are going, so if I'm going to look by due date, I can real easily see which things are overdue already. So I can see that Megan has been working on a proposal for middle-toed riveters, and not sure what's going on there, but it's behind schedule. It's actually almost a month late. So I need to check in with Megan to see what's going on there. Same thing for Diego. He had something due earlier this month. It's not quite got that knocked out, but we need to check on that, make sure that everything looks okay, that he has all the information he needs to be successful. Then future dating here, next week, future, we can kind of see the things that are coming up. I can also look at it from the perspective of who it's assigned to. So this will give me a perspective of the individuals involved in this sales process, who has the most work assigned to them, and kind of what's that look like. I can also see who hasn't been assigned work. Right, so these are all the things that haven't been assigned yet that we need to get assigned to individuals. So For Adele, she's developed doing that proposal. She's done some of the detailed requirements gathering for Acme. I know that the Smithson and Popper, that's a similar business to the Acme Incorporated. So I'm going to actually give that over to Adele and have her, oops, I didn't mean to complete that. I'm going to have Adele work on this also. Okay, so she's going to start to put that together for us. So again, so planner, I'm just really using that to manage that workload for delivering these proposals as part of our sales process. So the other piece I mentioned, so this is our task management engine planner. We can use that real easily. Comes with your Microsoft 365 platform. The other piece of this is these set of deliverables or these documents that we always create as part of this process, this sales process. And I want to go look at those. I'm going to get back out of this full screen of planner. And Megan needs to really dig in and start working on this proposal. And if I go over to, again, I'm in my opportunities channel under the sales and marketing team. I'm going to look at the files that are generated over here. And what we should see out here is my two documents for Smithson and Popper. So I have my proposal document and I have my my estimate document. So Megan is going to take a peek in here. And again, this estimate template is pretty sparse, but you'll get the idea. This can be whatever template you need it to be. So for the type of work that your organization delivers, you would develop kind of your template that you want for your estimates to be developed in, whether it be by phase, by role, or however that needs to work out. It's really just an Excel sheet that we're starting from as our baseline. So this is our summary, $200, but actually maybe we need to insert stuff, you know, because this is just regular Excel, right? So task 1, task 2, however you want to estimate this thing out. Maybe equipment, maybe they have to buy some equipment. So we'll put $500 there. And then my summary then is really going to be up to C1. So $700 total there. That's great. The other thing that's nice about this, so Megan is working in this document. When I'm working within the Microsoft Cloud environment with the Office products, regardless of whether I'm looking at the documents through Teams, whether I'm looking at them through the Office clients themselves, or if I'm looking at them through the raw web clients, I can have multi-user editing experience. And I'm going to flip over, and I'm in Megan right now, looking at the estimate that she's been working on. I'm going to look over and flip over to my admin user. So again, I'm sitting over here as my admin role. And what I want to look at is I'm going to go to that estimate. I'm going to go in there and actually work on that with her. I'm going to look at some of the stuff Megan's been doing. I can see the work that she's done here, and I can see that she's actually in this cell at the top. It's telling me that Megan Bone is in here editing this also. So I can flip over to the right and I could start my own section, or I could be working on another portion of this Excel document at the same time to work with Megan and help move this along quicker. You know, other things, other items, you know, whatever I need to work on here to build this out, we can be in here kind of doing a co-authoring experience. So that's within Excel. It's easy to kind of break things out within Excel, work in different sections. As the sales admin, one of the things that I know is very important, so I'm going to close this, is our actual proposal document. So I'm going to go down to the Smithson and Popper proposal document, and I'm going to start working on this, the sales admins. A lot of times, starting out of the gate, I'll put some preliminary information in here. But really, some of these specific areas, I want to assign these specific areas to specific people within the document. And one of the nice ways that we can do that is with a comment in here. So I know that I want Megan, because she's closest to the account, she's going to give this executive overview, which really encapsulates kind of what the solution is going to do, what it looks like. But it's real important that we get that right. And so I'm going to put a comment in here for Megan. And you'll notice if I mention her, I can tag Megan in here. It's going to let me assign this as a task to Megan. So it's going to notify her and put it on her list of tasks, things that she needs to work on related to this specific document. So I can carve this document up in this manner. For Popper. And I can assign that to Megan. That'll show up as a task for her. And so same thing, I can go down here and I can also tag these other users if I need to. So maybe I want Adele's going to work on our estimate. I can assign that here very easily, pull her into this document and get her working on it. Same process, insert a new comment. Going to be tagged to my estimates, and this is going to be Adele this time. There's Adele Vance. I'm going to assign that to Adele. So that's an easy way to carve out work within a document. Of course, we can have a co-authoring experience inside this document, just like we could in Excel. I can flip back over to Megan and show you that. I think you probably get the point from the Excel document, though, so we'll step away from that part. So what we need to do now is we need to pretend that we've done our due diligence on this document. This document has been fleshed out, has lots of content in it, really adequately describes the solution and what we're trying to get to with the particular services we're giving to this client. And what I want to do now is I'm going to pull someone else into this document to get them to look at the document as a whole. I don't really need them to do specific things on individual parts, but I need them as a whole to look at this document. So I'm going to use this conversation tab in Teams to pull Nestor. Nestor Wilk is one of our senior advisors and is very good at reviewing these overall proposals. So I want Nestor to look at this and I want him to be notified of it. Be like, please review this document as soon as you can. We need to get it out the door. Need to get it out. So boom, tag that. And so then that's going to notify Nestor to come and take a look at this document. So as we've done this work on this document, I've assigned individual things out to people to work on for the sections of the document, and then I've engaged Nestor now to do an overall review of the document. If I close this, you'll see in our conversations area, under our posts, we can see where this has been, where Nestor's been pulled in. So Nestor will get an alert. It's going to pull him into this, and he's going to be have a real easy way to just jump right into this document to start looking at it. If I flip over and look at Megan, so remember, Megan, I had assigned her some work out of the proposal, so she got notified about this, and we were asking her, hey, please go ahead and do this work, and this will take me right into the comment inside that document so that I can start working on it if I'm Megan or if I'm engaged on this particular proposal. So with that, we will go back to our plan. Flip back over to Teams. I'm going to close out here for Megan. Megan's going to go in and update her tasks. Proposal is done. Good to go. Proposal has been reviewed. We're going to deliver this. Requirements, all that stuff has been completed. Those will get marked off the board then. We're all good to go on that front. Me as the sales administrator, Megan tells me, hey, we've actually won this business. So I'm going to go to my list. I'm going to close out this opportunity. We've taken it through its paces. We created our documents. We delivered those. We got signatures, and we're ready to move forward with this work. They've signed with us, so it's a great day. And to do that, I'm going to jump back to the list that we have. My opportunity list, and the only thing I'm going to do inside this is really just mark it as one. So here's our Smithson and Popper. To edit this, really just need to go down to the sales status. It's in progress. I'm going to mark this as one. Okay, great. And so as I look at these opportunities, then let me go back to my list. This view shows the one right now, but if I go to show all items, I'm gonna look at all my items here. You can see there's a lot of things that have happened in this list. And my role as the sales administrator, I'm trying to keep a pulse on how things are doing month to month, quarter to quarter. So it would be nice if I had a way to visualize some of this data so I could really understand, well, what's going on within the team. How are we doing on sales? Do we have much of a funnel coming in? What's that look like for us? And to do that, I'm going to go to the ops summary, and let me over here. And then from here, let me reload this. Sorry about that. So this is Power BI is going to take a look at this data for us and help us to make some sense out of what's going on in this list of sales. This is my quick summary. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so we can see more of it. I collapse that. I'm going to make this full page, make it full screen. So this is the analysis of all those sales opportunities that we've been working inside of that list that we've been tracking. So I can see from January 1 to March 31st so far, granted that's future dated, but this is the amount, the dollars that we've won. This is how much new business we have that's still in progress. This is the amount of business we've lost, and this is the work that's in progress. I can also see that looking at total sales amounts, and again, this is across all statuses for our opportunities, but looks like Nestor's in the lead with $710,000 worth of sales. Megan Bowen, 62 million, or 620,000, apologies, and then Isaiah, et cetera. What this lets me do though, Power BI is, it has all these visual elements related and connected together for us. So as I look at this data, I can start to click on things and start to get a better picture of what's really going on with my data. Because remember, the problem I had was that I had just this great big list of data. It's hard for me to really understand what's going on within it by just looking at it. So I really just want to see the things that have been won. So what's that look like for us? So if I click on one, that quickly spills this back for me. So from a total sales perspective, really, Isaiah has sold, or Nestor's still in the lead actually at 350,000, but Isaiah is a close second, and then Megan is coming in third at about $100,000 sold. If I want to see the actual individual details related to those things that have been won, with Power BI, we can go ahead and do drill down into that information. So I'm going to click on this. I'm going to do drill through, and then go down into my details. And with that, you can see then that these are all the deals that have been won for all the sales folks for that time period. So 791,000 is what we've done so far. Here we go. And then flipping back up to the summary, we can also look in for specific salesperson. So if I want to look at maybe just Nestor, I can see what Nestor has done. So I see that Nestor has this many wins, this many new opportunities. These are the things that are in the hopper for us that are in progress or brand new that haven't been started yet. So that gives me that perspective. So again, these are just visualizations of that list data so we have a better understanding of what's going on within our sales pipeline. One of the other pieces that I had mentioned that trying to let individuals know about successes, that's important within an organization. It's nice to understand that my company is doing well, that we're selling things, we're winning business. One of the ways we use that at Contoso is through a tool called Yammer. So we have this concept of a win wire. And I have two new messages up here on my win wire. If I click on this, you'll see what's been going on. So I can see that Smithson and Popper was actually won. So that's great. So I'm going to let Megan know. Great job on that, Megan. This is a great one. We've been after this customer for a long time. So I can post that. That kind of gives me the perspective of what's going on with that. So that's our celebration piece. So this is Yammer. We can have this flow up in a variety of different ways. This is my WinWire screen. So this is just, again, we've done all these things with inside Teams. So we've consolidated all that interaction, all that activity is right inside the Teams environment. using the different tabs on my channel to really orchestrate that whole experience. So you've seen a couple of things happen automatically for us. I wanted to take a couple minutes and show you where those things are happening within the platform. All those automations are handled with Power Automate. So if I flip over and look at Power Automate, I have two different workflows that we were using to orchestrate the things that we saw today. Number one is a new opportunity. And if I'm looking here at new opportunity, Power Automate is a way to move data, do workflows, share information across services. First thing is when an item is created, so when a new opportunity shows up, we're creating our tasks in Planner. So I have connectors that connect into that Planner environment that we saw, automatically generate those tasks for me. So as a sales administrator, I don't have to go in there and deal with that. It just does it for me automatically. And then from here, I'm generating my two proposals. So I have a proposal template that I grab, and then I create a new proposal from it. Same thing for my estimate. So if we look inside here, I can see it's going to be my site, where I want to create this document. Here's the name of the file. This title, by the way, is from my opportunity list. Remember, so we had everything generated from that opportunity list. We're using that data that was collected there to create this content and really repurpose all those things. So we're more streamlined. So that's Power Automate for the new proposal piece. And then same thing if I go back and look at my other automates. There's one more here we'll take a peek at, which is our sales win wire. This one is interesting. The actual actions inside it are not overly complex. We just have two. We're posting a message into Yammer with some of the key information from the opportunity. What's probably more interesting here is that we can tell this flow when to trigger. So we can put some information in here that controls when this thing happens. So we're putting a trigger down here so that this flow will only run when that status is set to 1 on the sales status. That helps conserve our resources and only executing when we really need it to. Very good. That's Power Automate. And one other piece that I wanted to mention, so we've talked about our sales pipeline, and we've seen some basic examples of how we can orchestrate some business processes here. So creating proposals, assigning tasks, announcing things to the organization. All these things would have come to light as part of that use case assessment, the collaboration strategy, right? So as part of the collaboration strategy for Contoso, we found that this sales process is one of the most important things at the organization. So we wanted to put things in place that make the flow from end to end for this sales process to be as easy as possible. And we were able to do that with a variety of the tools here on the platform. One of the areas that we spent the most time in was Teams, right? Teams is a tool that sits on top of SharePoint, and it's really the collaboration tool that Microsoft's put forward to really bring things together. One of the interesting pieces that Microsoft has developed over the last year is this technology, or this product line related, it's called Viva. And the part I want to show out to you just real briefly is related to the intranet piece. So when I click on my DD here at the top, this is the intranet. So this is the classic intranet as viewed through Teams. So retail operations has an intranet page where I have all these different guides and all these different things that are classic intranet content. What Viva allows me to do, and this is specifically Viva Connections, is it lets me bring that into the Teams environment so I don't have to leave Teams. I'm having all these things happen just right inside the platform, so I don't have to jump between different tools to do the things that I need to do. That's one part of Viva. Also have Viva Learning, which brings a learning experience and access to curriculum. You get a free version of Viva Learning with Microsoft 365, and what this allows me to do is I can put videos, I can put Word documents out here that we offer, that we curate as an organization. I can have them show up here. I can also search for standard Microsoft content that's available through the Microsoft Learn platform. You can also plug in other third-party learning tools into this. And if you elect to go for the upsized kind of Viva Learning license, you can build training plans and training paths that are more that you can track through the platform, so you can track progress for your organization as far as training goes. So with that, that's the end of the content that I wanted to show you from a collaboration perspective. I'm going to flip back over to my slides and go from the current slide here. We kind of touched on that. I'm not sure if we had any questions or not come in. Didn't have any questions come in at this time, but I did want to mention one piece today. This client immersion experience offer. So this is the CIE that I was referring to earlier. What Dean Dorton would like to offer you as participants, or for taking the time to view this, is really a free client immersion experience. This will be a 2-hour session where we'll take select a few of your individual stakeholders from your organization into a Microsoft environment. We'll walk through common scenarios with you that have relevance to your organization, and we'll really show you how the platform can support the strategies you have around sharing information and collaborating. If you're interested in that, please reach out to me. We would love to engage with you. That's a no-cost service there for a couple hours. We can do that on premise. If you're local and we can come on site, that's great. If it needs to be virtual, we can also do that. Again, my name is John Gootee. I'm Collaboration Managed Consultant here at Dean Dorton. Here's my contact information. Feel free to reach out to me if you'd like to set up the CIE, or if you just have questions. I'd love to hear from you and get any feedback you have on the content today. Thanks so much.